PLI for IT hardwares and IT companies at large. It appears that there are now more takers, Kartik.
Yes, Shweta. And interestingly, Minister for IT, Mr. Ashwini Vaishnav, has said that the laptop import ban has got nothing to do with it.
Okay.
I take that with a pinch of salt, but anyway, that's the statement which has come out. Now, let's just understand what is this PLI scheme for IT all about. Number one, overall, when the PLI scheme was introduced in its first phase, it had an outlay of 1.97 lakh crore rupees as incentive to manufacturers to come set up shop in India, domestic as well as international manufacturers, to make India a manufacturing hub. And one of the critical components when it comes to manufacturing has been this entire pack of electronics. We've seen some success when it comes to smartphone manufacturing. Smartphone manufacturing in India has reached a value of about $11 billion or so. And this is give or take about 10% of India's total manufacturing by volume, by value right now. India's total manufacturing, which sort of, went on the back of India pivoting from a service-only focus to a service-plus manufacturing focus, went in the right direction, and India was able to create manufactured output worth about $105 billion or so, right? So now, what is this PLI scheme for the IT sector? If you remember, India has been mostly an importer of laptops, tablets, PCs, servers, gaming equipment, headphones, the works, right? All the paraphernalia that goes in IT. India has mostly been only an importer. And these imports had at one point touched about $8.8 billion earlier this year. A bulk of that came from China. About $5 to $6 billion worth of imports on gadgets, computer gadgets, actually came from China. So India's stand on putting a blanket ban on import of laptops, tablets, PCs seemed as a political move to hem in China and at the same time give a fillip to international companies coming and making in India. And a great way to incentivize any sort of manufacturing is to give them a cash incentive, which comes by the way of the PLI or the Production Linked Investment Scheme.
And give them no other way to perhaps be able to import, so they will have to make in India.
No, so I mean, import licenses, the government says, will still be issued. So if you really must import, tell the government where you want to import from, which country you want to import from. It needs to be a trusted partner country that you are looking at importing from, and the government is going to issue a license to you, right? Takes you back to the 1980s license. Raj, I understand. I know I've also had those emotions. I can see on your face that you want to go there.
No,
but right now, let's
stay to... And not just that. I also want to, I think for the benefit of our viewers, there are 38 companies who are now showing interest.
That's right.
There's no company that showed interest prior to the import ban. There were no takers for PLI. If my memory serves me right, there were no takers for...
overall, I think PLI did not see the kind of offtake that it was purported to have seen.
Actually, at all.
and yeah, so look at auto sector also. The news that we ran yesterday, there was a 26,000 crore rupee outlay out of the 1.97 lakh crores. 26,000 crores or 1/8 of the total outlay was towards manufacturing of automobiles. And all these schemes were initiated at a time when the global supply chain was in a mess, owing to China's zero COVID policy, overall the Russia-Ukraine war, prices of commodities going up, semiconductor shortage, all of that. So that is when the government had actually started this PLI scheme, that manufacture in India, make in India. The auto sector also did not see any offtake for an entire 1 year or so. And yesterday we reported that that scheme, the 26,000 PLI, 26,000 crore rupees PLI for auto sector has been given a 1-year extension. Now what the government did this time around with the laptop import ban, laptop, tablet, PC import ban, it gave a deadline to companies who want to sell in India to apply for the PLI scheme. And till 5:30 p.m. yesterday, there were 32 applicants. And between 4 hours from 5:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m., the midnight of yesterday and today, 30th and 31st August being the deadline, between just those 4 hours, it shot up from 32 to 38 applicants. Now, who are these applicants? I think important to know. Pretty much every brand of laptop makers that we can think of, right? So you've got HP, you've got Dell, you've got Lenovo, you've got Asus. You've also got now Foxconn Group to make IT hardware, perhaps not limited only to the fabs or to the semiconductors, right? So you've got pretty much any brand that you can think of which sells in India, laptops that we use at home in office, who are now applying to avail of this PLI scheme. Curiously, Apple is out of it.
Yes.
Right.
Which
so
is surprising.
until 9:30 p.m., Apple was among the only big known brands which had not applied for the PLI scheme.
So would it therefore be right to assume that Apple is going to acquire that license and continue importing from outside?
I think that could be one conclusion. Another conclusion could be that Apple sees that the smartphone market is worth investing in India right now, and even the latest iPhone 15 is going to be manufactured in India, and it has vendors, partners, including the likes of Foxconn, Pegatron, etc., which do the contract manufacturing on its behalf.
Okay.
So Apple directly itself wanting to set up a manufacturing plant may not be its strategy of manufacturing at all.
Okay.
So it could still be done through third-party contract manufacturers, including Foxconn, which is part of the list, right? But Lenovo, Dell, HP Enterprises as well, which is the enterprise division of Hewlett-Packard, largely into servers and cloud infrastructure and offering B2B solutions rather than B2C solutions, has also applied for the license. Now, overall, through this scheme, again, according to IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnav and the PIB press release that came, 75,000 odd jobs are likely to be created with the 17,000 crore rupee incentive. These are direct jobs, factory workers directly employed in the manufacturing process of IT and electronics hardware. 3x of that is likely to be the indirect supply chain, value chain job creation. Now, one of the players which has already applied for the PLI scheme, called Dixon, has already set up its factory in Noida and is likely to employ about 20,000 odd people. So, of the 75,000 total employment to be generated through the manufacturing using the PLI incentives, 20,000 is straight away in Noida, the city where we are sitting right now, by the way, proudly at this moment. 20,000 would be directly employed at the Dixon plant in Noida. And overall, the scheme, the output of the scheme, the manufactured products are likely to start rolling out of factories as early as mid-2024. And perhaps the out date of the first batches from each of these factories is 2025. So, starting mid next year and give or take another 18 months from then, we'll see each of these 38 factories which are granted the PLI would be up and running and would actually be producing and manufacturing and sending out from their supply chain the manufactured laptops, tablets,
all right.
PCs.
And obviously there will be a localization clause, which means many of these companies will have to source material from within India, 50%?
And thereby hangs the tail, Shweta. Yeah, so I think it starts slow. It starts
Going
at about
back
30%.
to a discussion we had yesterday, which is with regards to quality. I think quality of IT hardware is paramount, not just for the country, for consumers at large. I hope that will not be compromised.
Well, I think the final buck stops at the manufacturers themselves. And it is fair to assume and fair to suggest that they will have to ensure that their quality is completely at par with whatever they produce and manufacture globally. And if they are able to keep up with those global standards of manufacturing, then they will obviously be able to sell in India. And that is how they are going to build their market here in India.
All right. And obviously 38 companies now looking to take up the incentive scheme by the way of PLI, and these are all IT hardware companies. You can see them setting shop in India very, very soon.